I was speaking last night in Lyon, in France, and on the telephone from an enclave called Gaza was one of the leaders of the Palestinian resistance in that besieged territory. It was eerie, the atmosphere, a disembodied voice over a crackling telephone line. And I made the point that it could actually have been a Second World War time broadcast coming from the heroes of the French resistance in Lyon, which resisted more than anywhere else, which was subjected to occupation, barbarism, like nowhere else in France. And I made the point, and I make it here now. If there's anyone not yet persuaded, any people worthy of the name, any self-respecting people, if visited by a violent, unwanted foreign military invasion, will resist it, however many bribes, however you browbeat, however you seek to divide. And that's the fatal flaw in the American and British strategy at the conference tomorrow. The idea that by offering the Ministry of Works in the dysfunctional, virtually non-existent Karzai administration inside the congestion area of downtown Kabul to a Taliban commander, that you're going to disarm a people which has risen up in their hundreds of thousands against foreign invasion after invasion after invasion. As Seamus pointed out to us, 3 of them British invasions. I did not know that the Irish soldiers had left 10,000 of their comrades in the passes and on the plains and in the mountains of Afghanistan. But I do know that nobody who invaded Afghanistan has ever prospered. Even Alexander the Great failed successfully to occupy Afghanistan, and Bob Ainsworth definitely isn't Alexander the Great. This occupation is absolutely doomed. It doesn't matter how many times they tell us, McChrystal this week, that there will be hard fighting in Afghanistan for the next 5 years, seeming to contradict his own boss, the President of the United States, who said that next year the United States will start to withdraw. Or whether you believe the British ambassador, some double-barreled buffoon whose name I forget, who said that we would be fighting in Afghanistan, our soldiers would have to be there for the next 40 years. The grandsons of the soldiers there now. It doesn't matter how much braggadocio you bring to the conference table tomorrow, the foreign occupation of Afghanistan is doomed. It's going to be defeated sooner or later. Better that it's sooner. We can't afford it. And the life's blood of our own soldiers, never mind the Afghan people, is too valuable for us to allow uncontested their intention to stay. I hesitate in front of the master diarist, Mr. Benn, to mention a lesser diarist, a lesser individual in every respect. But I, flying home this morning from Lyon, was reading the scribblings of somebody called Chris Mullen. Chris Mullen, the former editor of Tribune, scourge of sitting members of Parliament who thought they had a seat for life, leftist on all issues. It's a sad book to see how shrunken his parliamentary career has become. But one of the things that caught my eye today was his scribblings from the year 2002 about the war in Afghanistan. He reflects the tea room chatter amongst the insiders in the New Labour clique. Like Palmerston of old. They were moving around imaginary armies and forces. We should occupy this, we should do this, we should do that. And Jack Straw looms onto the pages. And I remember this well, though it's not mentioned in Chris Mullin's diaries. It is in the collection of Frank Johnson's parliamentary sketches, which is altogether a better read, not just because it mentions an encounter I had with Jack Straw in 2002, in which he literally said to me, on the record, that it would be over by Christmas, that the war would be finished by Christmas of 2002. Well, it wasn't over by Christmas of 2009, and if they don't withdraw, it won't be over by Christmas of 2019. And here I say to the gentleman who was far too pessimistic in his intervention from the floor. He said that they are going to continue these wars until the whole world is America's backyard. My dear, nowhere is America's backyard. American power, which they sought to project to guarantee the 21st as a new American century, is a busted flush. That's why Chavez can shake his fist and roar at them. They don't dare to invade and occupy even Venezuela, not so far from their own shores. And that which started out in 2001 as a bid to terrify the whole world with American power has become instead a demonstration of the limitations of American power. And that's before their economy collapsed into the basket case, which it is today, with a $1.3 trillion budget deficit, with a president elected with the hopes of tens of millions of people in his own country and hundreds of millions around the world, already virtually a lame duck president staring down the barrel of a one-term presidency, I'm very sorry to say. American power is not what it was, and it's definitely not what they sought to persuade us it was. Now, like the rest of you, I'm sure I've been transfixed by transfixed is probably not the word, the somnolent but nonetheless revealing proceedings in the Queen Elizabeth Conference Centre, where we'll be at 8 o'clock on Friday. Bring your friends. And I say to Lindsey and Andrew, I remember how cross they were with me at the time because I used the M word. In the week of the demonstration of the 15th of February, I wrote to Tessa Jowell, who was the minister in charge of Royal Parks, when she told us we couldn't have Hyde Park for the 15th of February demonstration. I said, Minister, you can choose. You can have 1 million people in Hyde Park, or you can have 1 million people running through the streets of London with nowhere to gather and demonstrate. She saw sense and opened the park gates, and if the police have any sense at all, they will make no effort to stop the demonstrators at the Queen Elizabeth Conference Centre on Friday morning, because we intend to demonstrate there whether the government likes it or not.